Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 411 of the Dramatic Knits podcast. Today is Monday, March 10th, 2025, and thank you to all of my returning viewers for coming back and checking out this episode. And to anybody who's new, checking out the episode for the first time, thank you so much for giving me a shot and spending some of your time with me. I know there is a lot to watch out there in terms of crafting and podcasts, and I thank you so much for taking the time to check out this month's episode. Some of you may be going, Steve, this episode is showing up on YouTube for everyone to see. Yes, so as the Dramatic Knits podcast is ever evolving and changing in over the 14 years that this podcast has been around. Yes, I started Dramatic Knits in 2011. It's hard to believe that it's been 14 years. I did take a year hiatus from the podcast back in 2023. And when I came back in 2024, I decided to host the podcast via our Patreon, which is linked below in the YouTube description box below. And for the past year plus, the podcast has been hosted on Patreon in the hopes to raise money for the continued efforts to improve and renovate the historic McGill building here in Clinton, Illinois, where Leading Men Fiber Arts and Dramatic Knits is located here in central Illinois. And it's been great building the community over there on Patreon. However, I've been doing some reflecting over the past, month, 2 months. And in light of the way the world is right now, the world, the US, but the world, I decided that the world is in such a place of chaos that I was reflecting on what can I do to put my voice out there and provide a sense of brightness and light and showcasing creativity and making and the positive in the world, because there's not enough of that right now. There's so much negativity and lack of empathy and chaos that I wanted to bring Dramatic Knits back to the public view and make it available to everyone on YouTube and be able to start having more communication with people, because I think we need that. We need to be able to connect with people, because sometimes it feels like we're losing all of our connections and that, everything is everything. And so I decided, starting with this episode, we're going to have the podcast available to everybody so that, anyone who wants to watch can see what I'm up to, can join in the conversation via the comments or a Ravelry group, or even on Patreon if you decide that you want to join our Patreon group down there. Again, linked below. We do have 2 different tiers on our Patreon group. The first one is the $1 tier, which is what was originally hosted for the podcast. That $1 a month pledge now will get you access to the auctions that we've been doing. We do a monthly auction, again, to raise funds for the building and other things around the business and things like that, as well as access to purchase our one-of-a-kind colorways that are trial skeins when we're trying out new colors, or oopsie-daisy skeins that things didn't turn out exactly how we wanted them to. So from time to time, we will be posting our director's interpretation skeins, which are one-of-a-kinds, and we will provide you with a link that only those on the Patreon will have access to purchase those skeins from our website. We then added a $5 a month tier, which gets you everything with the $1 tier, as well as exclusive coupon codes for newly released yarn sets, kits, collaborations, and any other exciting things that may come out throughout the year, as well as giving you early access to some things that may be coming down the line. For instance, last year we did our Pride Box. Not sure we're going to do a Pride Box this year, but we also did our 2024 Winter Countdown Box. So things like that, we will provide you with early access to shop those before they are available to the general public. Again, Patreon is there to do out of the kindness of your heart. We do not expect it by any means, but if you'd like to support the podcast and our small business of Leading Men Fiber Arts, we'd greatly appreciate it if you'd at least check it out. But that's all I'm going to say on that. So I'm glad to be back and to share with you what I'm making. And you may have seen last month I posted on the Dramatic Knits channel, I've started a separate floss tube for my journey into the world of cross stitching. In fact, I recorded my second floss tube this morning before I had lunch. So you probably saw that on the feed here before this video. Due to editing, the videos may come out a couple of hours or a couple of days apart. It just depends on my schedule and when I have time to get everything edited and things of that nature. So thank you so much for joining this journey with me. And if you've been a longtime viewer, thank you for continuing on this journey. Sometimes I put things into motion and I feel like, no, those are the rules. And I said this and I have to follow through. But then Andy brings up a good point. My partner, Andy, if you're new, I have been with my partner, Andy, for 17 years now, almost 18. In August, it'll be 18 years. And he's really been bringing to light and instilling in me that those decisions that I make are my decisions. And it's okay to change and evolve and grow. And so that's what we're doing. We're growing. We're evolving. So welcome. All right, so let's just jump right into what's been going on over the past month. In the month of February, we went to our first show of 2025. We vended at Shepherd's Market, which is in Iowa City, Iowa. It's always our first show of the year, though that may change for next year. We'll see. We just got notified of a new show popping up, and we're in discussions to travel all the way down potentially to Florida next January to do a show. But for the past several years, it's been our first show of the year. It's always a great, intimate, small market of about 20 to 30 vendors. Everything from small local farms to pottery to other indie dyers to weavers, things, the gamut, handmade soaps and lotions. And so we were at Shepherd's Market last weekend, and it was a great event. We look forward to that event every year because it's small, it's intimate, it's pretty steady throughout the day, but we get to see new customers, but also returning customers that we get to see every year and do, kind of check in with them. And some we've known for years and we get to give them a hug, and other ones, we're just checking in, saying hi, and, giving a smile and a wave. And sometimes that goes a long way. So thank you to everyone who came out to Shepherd's Market last weekend and perused our booth. And if you shopped, thank you especially much. We greatly appreciate it. And then nothing else really going on other than, work, dyeing yarn, prepping for upcoming shows, which I'll talk about towards the end of the episode. But yesterday was our day off. We tend to usually only take one day off if we're able, and that's Sundays. And a lot of times we just lounge around in our PJs and craft and occasionally do some housework, not as often as we should. But I needed to go out and look for some new clothes, as well as I just wanted to kind of get out of the house and do some shopping. So we invited my mom to go with us. And she actually joined us, and we spent the afternoon hopping from shop to shop. We went to, we went into the mall, went to Kohl's, we stopped by Joann's. Excuse me. Our Joann's was not very marked down, but yet very cleared out. I went specifically looking for some floss for a new cross-stitch project. They were completely cleared out. But I did get a new light for one of my new crafting areas, which is in our spare bedroom. I've been spending a lot of time up there, and I needed a brighter, more daylight bulb to see my knitting while I'm watching YouTube and podcasts and floss tubes up there. And so they did have their lights for like 20 or 25% off. I did get a small, just rechargeable kind of ring light that I set up last night, and it worked really well. We then swung by TJ Maxx, got some candles because I wanted some candles for the house, and a few other odds and ends that we didn't really need. Swung by Michael's. I did get the DMC floss that I needed for my project. Went to the mall, did Kohl's, Aeropostale, Old Navy. Got I got a new pair of pants, new pair of jeans. I really needed to go in person because if you've been watching for via Patreon, if you're a returning viewer from Patreon, back in about June of last year, I was completely open and honest on going on a health journey and starting Ozempic. I have no problem saying that I'm on Ozempic and talking about or answering any questions, talking about it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. And I decided to ask my doctor about going on Ozempic for weight loss, but also I am a type 2 diabetic and I wanted to see if Ozempic really would help my numbers. And I can tell you it's been a little over 8 months, about 8 months now. I'm down over 40 pounds since I started this journey, and my blood sugar numbers have been phenomenal. Part of that is because I have a decrease in appetite. I'm not eating nearly as much as I was. And also because I believe the medication is helping those blood sugar numbers. So things are going really well. I have a checkup probably in about 2 months to revisit and actually get blood work done and look at the A1C and all that stuff. So being down 40 pounds, I've been noticing I did get a new pair of jeans about a month or two ago. Those are even getting a little big on me. So I was like, I need to go in. I need to try stuff on. I can't just order stuff online and assume that they're going to fit. Because in fact, I thought I needed to go down 1 more pant size. I needed to go down 2. And then I wanted to try on some shirts because I was previously wearing XXL because I, 1, thought I needed it. 2, I like things roomy and baggy. Part of that is comfort, but part of that is also confidence, self-confidence. And so I was trying stuff on yesterday and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try a couple of large shirts on at Old Navy. They looked fantastic on me. So I was like, it's good. It's really, really good. So, there's a little health update for any of you who care. So yeah, we went out shopping. We then we went out to dinner. We went to Texas Roadhouse. Because my mom's birthday is in mid-January. And so we didn't really do much for Christmas. We didn't do anything for her birthday. And we always just say, we'll take you out to dinner when you're ready. But she never really wants to go out a lot when it's really, really cold. So once the weather turns is usually when we make it out. So yesterday was the day we treated her to dinner, and we had a good dinner and a good time overall. It was a great day. Today it is absolutely gorgeous out. In fact, Andy and I walked home from work to have lunch. I didn't have to wear a jacket. This is short sleeves. This I did not get yesterday. This I actually bought on our Chicago trip. We went to Chicago right before Christmas. And I picked this up at Macy's in Chicago to wear specifically for our vacation. We were in Cancun in January. And I was like, you know what, though? This doesn't have to scream Cancun resort wear. And I wanted to wear it today. So we walked home because that is one thing we wanted to try to push ourselves to do. And we did it a couple of days, and then the weather dropped out again. And it's just been too cold or rainy to walk home. We only live about 3 or 4 blocks from our work. And it's right down the street. So we walked home. It was gorgeous. The sun is shining. It's just, spring is here. So yeah, that's been what's been going on for the past month. I hope you all had a fabulous February. And let's just jump right into finished objects. I do have a finished object. You probably saw it on the opening picture of the video. And that is Festival of Stitches by Lisa Haynes. I knit this using 3 skeins of At Haynes House that I picked up at the Zombie Knitpocalypse retreat many years ago. 2 of the skeins are in their bare feet sock base. That would be the I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about colorways or colorway. And I'm sorry, that was the only one in the bare feet sock. And then 2 of them were in their Haynesville fingering in the Army Navy and Southside Sunset colorways. So here it is in all of its glory. All of its ends are woven in. I made the tassel that it recommended because this will be a future auction, possibly for next month. We have a different auction for this month. I just knit it to knit it because I wanted to. And here it is. So it is significantly narrower than what is pictured, I feel like, in her pattern. But it is a festival of stitches. You have everything from mosaic knitting to cables to lace to ribbing to other lace. You have bobbles in there, garter, and the colors are mirrored. Once you get past these 2 purple sections, the colors are inverted from side to side with these, the mosaic, the cable, and these raindrop sections are inverted. And yeah, it is a nice wrap, scarf, what have you. Now, this tassel is simply attached by 1 stitch. Oh my goodness. Trying to style in the camera, but yet look at it is not as easy as one might think. So I did make this tassel. It is attached by 1 live stitch that is written in the pattern to leave live to hang the tassel on. You could easily take this off if you wanted, but you want to make sure that you tack down that live stitch. If not, might not end up so well. But yeah, so it is done, and I am so happy to have this off the needles. I was like, how long has this been on the needles? I started this in September of last year, and for a 3 skein project ending in March is, well, a long time for me. So this was knit on a size 4 needle, 3.5 millimeters, and just showing you the colors there, that fun speckled variegated. Oh, I do have a little bit of an end. It's not too bad though. That's the Army Navy. This is the Southside Sunset. And this soft silver with some purple speckles, very subtle purple in there, is the Thinking About What I'm Thinking About colorway. So that's what I've finished in the month of February. Just 1 object, but you know what? I am happy. So happy to have that off the needles. What have you all finished in the month of February? Feel free to leave a comment down below, as well as, just so you know, all these show notes will be in the description box below. I'm not sure if everything's going to be hyperlinked because I'm still learning how to do that on YouTube. I won't have them on Patreon or our former Dramatic Knits website. I let that website go during my hiatus. So it'll be just on YouTube. You can find everything linked or mentioned down below. All right. So let's talk about what my current whips or works in progress. I technically have 3. I just cast on a new project last week. However, I cannot show you that because of the pattern. I guess I could show it to you because this probably won't come out until after the pattern gets released, but I didn't bring it because the pattern doesn't come out till tomorrow, but we are dyeing a couple of yarn sets for a new Lisa Ross Paper Daisy Creations shawl that is going to be released tomorrow, Tuesday, March 11th. So stay tuned for that. I will announce that on our Patreon group as well as our newsletter coming out and social media and all that jazz. So the first project I'm going to show you is called Adriana by the Berroco design team. I am knitting this as a shop sample for here in the Leading Men Fiber Arts storefront. This is one of the yarns, commercial yarns that we carry. It is knit out of Berroco Millefiori Light in the colorway Andromeda. And I'm knitting this using a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle, and I've made some progress on this. So I gotta pull back a little bit. I finished the front and the back and completed the first side. So you pick up all along the side and then you knit and you do this shoulder shaping decrease right there. And then you also decrease on the edges. This is all going to be picked up on the bottom, and you knit a row and then do an eyelet row and you attach fringe to the bottom of this poncho. I am knitting this as part of our Create and Collaborate Club here at the Leading Men Fiber Arts storefront. We meet every other Tuesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. here in Clinton, Illinois. If you're local or willing to drive in, all are welcome, no matter what type of craft, no matter anything. All are welcome here at Leading Men at any time. So we have a great group of people that join us on Tuesdays. And we like to set ourselves challenges every quarter by randomly selecting a type of project, a weight of yarn, and a color. And so for the months of January, February, and March, our challenge was poncho, sport weight, and purple. So this is a poncho knit out of sport weight yarn. And while it's not really purple, I don't get store credit, which is what you get for completing the challenge. But it does have some purple in it. And so that is why I'm specifically knitting this particular pattern. We just pulled for our second quarter project, which is going to be the months of April, May, and June. And that is, what was it? Shawl or wrap, DK weight, and neutrals. So that's exciting. People were getting really excited to pull for our new challenges and to start planning on what their next project is going to be. Now, it is not required by any means. It's just a fun challenge to pose to our club, and those who want to participate can. Those who don't can do their own thing, but are still welcome to join us and chat and enjoy the community that we're building here locally. All right, the next project I have for you, I had talked about my tale of woe last episode. For those of you who might have caught it, when I went to Mexico in January, flying back out of the Cancun airport, they seized my knitting needles out of this vacation project that I started, and I had to rip the needle out, and I did not think I was going to be able to pick up all the stitches. And so I was like, I'm not even going to show it to you. I'm just mad at it. It's sitting in a corner. Well, every Wednesday morning for about a half hour, myself and our studio assistants, we get together over here at these tables that I'm sitting at, and we craft together and catch up and talk about anything that we, maybe knew going on in the store, kind of a staff check-in, but also just what's going on in life. We get inspired by new things. And so one Wednesday I sat down and I said, you know what, I'm going to see if I can pick up these stitches, and lo and behold, I was able to. So this project is the Triangle Garter Tab Shawl by Heather R. Robinson. She is one half of the duo of the Brenda and Heather yarns. They're another indie dyer. And I picked this up maybe at YarnCon a year or two ago. But this is their shawl in a ball. It's their Lightfoot base, but they call it a shawl in the ball because they're known for their self-striping and color-changing yarns. And this is dyed in a manner that if you start in this triangular shape, as the rows increase, the stripes are mathematically proportioned to get widths that they've determined. Now, this colorway is called the Who's Shawl, WHO''S, and it's based off of Doctor Who. I do not watch Doctor Who, but I thought it was a fun color. I am, in fact, just started the second to last color in the ball, which is this kind of smoky quartz, or reminds me of our smoky quartz colorway. And then you go into this aubergine colorway, which that last color, I will start doing garter at the bottom so it doesn't roll. And it's just a simple triangular shawl. Very simple. You increase on the edges every row, you increase in the middle on the right side rows. That's it. It's a free pattern and it just showcases the yarn. That's what I wanted for my vacation knit. Something mindless that I could just have my hands working. I didn't have to think or really watch a pattern, and it was perfect for that. So this is going. It's being knit on a size 6 US 4mm needle, and I love shawls on a 6. I gotta say, I do. So this will eventually be an auction over on our Patreon in the future as well, because I'm just knitting it to knit it because I want to. So those are the only two things I can show you. Like I said, secret project, it's not much. It's very small beginnings to a shawl. And I had to do some ripping out and math and figure things out and figure out a new stitch. I had to do some thinking, but I think I have it under control now with that new secret project. So, all right, let's go into my spinning. I have some finished hand spun to show you. This past month, I finished spinning some Three Waters Farm Falkland in the Maple Leaf Rag colorway. I got 316 yards of a 2-ply sport weight, and there it is. So this will be available on our website here shortly. I just have to get pictures and get the listing up. In the next few days, it should be up. And yeah, I really liked spinning this. A lot of my previous spins, the past few hand spins that I've done have been blends. And they've been a little more thick and thin and slubby. And this was just a dream to spin. I mean, it wasn't superwash merino, but it's still great. I'm spinning right now. I'm spinning right now some Hello Yarn Organic Polworth in the Skep colorway. Did not bring that with me to show. I don't even have the first 2 ounces spun on a bobbin yet. So, but I will definitely be showing that to you when it is finished. Alrighty, so let's keep moving. I want to keep this short, as short as possible. Sometimes I get long-winded. So a few months ago, somebody commented on the podcast that they would love to see my partner Andy's Legos. He does enjoy doing Legos. That's one of his hobbies. He plays one video game. I would say video games, but it's really one. He plays Civilization 6. He enjoys that, and he enjoys doing Legos. And he enjoys plants and things like that, but they're kind of iffy. So I told him, I said, every month you need to take a picture of a set, let me know what it is, because he was like, well, you got to know what the name is and the set number. So this morning, without me even asking him, he came over to the shop because he's been peppering his Lego projects throughout the storefront here. And so he sent me a picture of his set that he wanted to feature for this episode. And that is the Chrysanthemum and Plum Blossom set with the tiny plants mixed in. He sent me that picture, which I'm showing you right here. And then he also threw me another picture because he wanted you all to say hi to Stanley, the yuzu tree. Andy bought this tree online last year, and when it came, it was just a stick, which is still a stick. But he thought it was dying. He spent a little bit of money on it, not outrageous, but it wasn't a cheap stick. And it sits in the front window of the storefront here, and he didn't think it was going to make it, but then it got some leaves, but then in the wintertime, the leaves kind of did fall off. So he is still working on bringing it back to life. He loves coming over here and talking to Stanley. He's like, Stanley, you're looking gorgeous. You got to keep growing. You got to grow those leaves. Andy's quite adorable when he wants to be. And so yeah, if you ever stop by the storefront, say hi to Stanley. He's a fixture of the store. So that's, while Andy will never be on the podcast, I have tried for years to get him to at least, I was like, why don't you at least pop in for the Lego section? That's not him. He does not like to, he doesn't mind having his picture taken, but he doesn't like speaking on camera or in public, really. It's not his preferred thing to do. He will if push comes to shove. But all right, let's talk about what I am watching and reading. I have actually been doing a lot of listening to audiobooks. I've been kind of mixing up how I've been crafting, and I've been watching more podcasts and FlossTube on YouTube. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks while I've been cross-stitching because I find that I need to visually be focused on my cross-stitching to not make counting errors or mistakes and to be able to follow the pattern while I'm stitching. So I've been listening to audiobooks. So I wanted to talk to you about the 4 books that I finished this last month and read the Goodreads synopsi. I believe that's right. Former English teacher. That sounds correct. Or portions from them. So the first book that I finished is called Ghost of Truth. This is from the Medium Trouble series. This is book 2 by Alice Winters. This is a male-male paranormal romance. Does feature some spicy scenes. So let me read you a little bit from that. I'm going to cut out most of it, but actually I'll just give you a recap because this is actually the synopsis is from the 2 different perspectives. So you have 2 main characters. You have Hero, who is a medium. He is able to see and talk to ghosts. And he actually realizes that he kind of has powers and able to feel them and help them. His powers are growing in which that they can kind of feel through him. There is possession that takes place in this book. And then the other character is Maddox. Maddox is a detective in the police department. And in the first book, they were, of course, at odds and have to work on a case together. They end up falling for each other and getting into a relationship. The relationship continues into this book and about navigating, Hero's abilities when the police and other people cannot physically see and they can't use him or his works as proof, but they do use him as a consultant because what he's offered in the past has proven to be true and has proven to lead them to close cases. So if you enjoy a little male-male romance, a little paranormal activity, I highly recommend it. I enjoyed it. It's lighthearted. It's not too serious. The second book I finished is Never Lie. This is by Freida McFadden. She wrote The Housemaid. If you've heard of that, I did listen to that a year or 2 ago. They are making a movie out of that. I believe that's going to star Sydney Sweeney. That one was pretty good. This one, I do not recommend. I gave it 3 stars and that was pretty high. But I'll read you the synopsis. I just felt like it was very, very predictable but yet had a lot of plot holes or was not fleshed out enough. The story was not fleshed out enough. You were just supposed to accept things. But anyway, here's what Never Lie by Freida McFadden is. Newlyweds Trisha and Ethan are searching for the house of their dreams. But when they visit the remote manor that once belonged to Dr. Adrian Hale, a renowned psychiatrist who vanished without a trace 4 years earlier, a violent winter storm traps them at the estate, with no chance to escape until the blizzard comes to an end. In search of a book to keep her entertained until the snow abates, Trisha happens upon a secret room, one that contains audio transcripts from every single patient Dr. Hale has ever interviewed. As Trisha listens to the cassette tapes, she learns about the terrifying chain of events leading up to Dr. Hale's mysterious disappearance. Trisha plays the tapes one by one, late into the night. With each one, another shocking piece of the puzzle falls into place, and Dr. Adrian Hale's web of lies slowly unravels. And then Trisha reaches the final cassette, the one that reveals the entire horrifying truth. Sounds good, right? I mean, it wasn't that long of a listen. It was okay. It was suspenseful. There were some twists and turns, but I kind of rolled my eyes at a lot of them. So take that for what it is. Take a quick sip. My voice is getting tired. The next one I would highly recommend, with the caveat that there are a lot of trigger warnings for racism in the Deep South in the 1960s, and also what's going on in our world in the US right now. There is a lot of crossover. This is A Calamity of Souls by David Baldacci. I've listened to a few of his books in the past. He's a really good writer. I'm going to skip over most of this, but I'll give you just the opening and closing paragraphs. Set in the tumultuous year of 1968 in Southern Virginia, a racially charged murder case sets a duo of white and black lawyers against a deeply unfair system as they work to defend their wrongly accused Black defendants in this courtroom drama from #1 New York Times bestselling author David Baldacci. And then it goes on to say, over a decade in the writing, A Calamity of Souls breathes richly imagined and detailed life into a bygone era, taking the reader through a world that will seem both foreign and familiar. And so I thought that was really pressing when I read that he's been working on this book for a decade, and then he released it at the end of 2024, right around the election time, because there are definitely so many things that draw parallels to what our nation specifically has been going through over the past year in terms of leading up to the election. And he didn't know this when he released the book, what's going on right now. Things like politics influencing our judicial system and changing and influencing our judicial system in order to better codify the masses and to get certain individuals into office to maintain that codification. So it was hard sometimes to read, to listen to, but I am so glad that I did. This is outside my realm of things that I usually, just go, yeah, I'll read that. I'm usually into paranormal, suspense, thriller, murder, mystery type of things. This was really, really good. I gave it 4 stars. I'd probably give it 4.5. But yeah, that was A Calamity of Souls by David Baldacci. And then the last one I listened to, I took this as a recommendation from a floss tuber that I watch, Leanne and Stitches. She is also the dyer behind Forbidden Fiber Co., which I'm excited. I've seen her stuff in person at a few shows, but I've never really stopped in and chit-chatted with her. But I'm actually going to see her this weekend at the Nash Yarn Fest that we're going to be vending at as well. So I want to stop in and say, hey, I found your floss tube. I've really been enjoying it. And she, like we do, listens to a lot of books. Andy listens to a ton of books and podcasts while he's dyeing yarn. I do not, because I need to be doing other work in between dyeing yarn, and I can't focus on the book and be able to focus on what I'm doing in between dyeing yarn. But I listened to The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Prenner. And I gave this 4 stars as well. Let me give you the synopsis for that and see if you're intrigued. A female apothecary secretly dispenses poisons to liberate women from the men who have wronged them, setting 3 lives across centuries on a dangerous collision course. Rule number 1, the poison must never be used to harm another woman. Rule number 2, the names of the murderer and her victim must be recorded in the apothecary's register. One cold February evening in 1791, at the back of a dark London alley in a hidden apothecary shop, Nella awaits her newest customer. Once a respected healer, Nella now uses her knowledge for a darker purpose, selling well-disguised poisons to desperate women who would kill to be free of the men in their lives. But when her new patron turns out to be a precocious 12-year-old named Eliza Fanning, an unexpected friendship sets in motion a stirring of events that jeopardizes Nella's world and threatens to expose the many women whose names are written in her register. In present-day London, aspiring historian Caroline Parswell spends her 10th wedding anniversary alone, reeling from the discovery of her husband's infidelity. When she finds an old apothecary vial near the River Thames, She can't resist investigating, only to realize she's found a link to the unsolved Apothecary murders that haunted London over 2 centuries ago. As she deepens her search, Caroline's life collides with Nella's and Eliza's in a stunning twist of fate, and not everyone will survive. This was really good. It definitely has a strong feminism undertone to it, but I really enjoyed the storytelling from the 2 different centuries and how they linked up, and the pursuit of knowledge and of telling people's stories that might never be told. The recording of one's history. And of course, there's the dark poisoning and killing aspect, but gave that 4 stars. That's, again, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So those are the 4 books that I read. Quickly, I'm going to go over the shows and movies that myself and Andy have watched in the last month. We finished Agatha All Along. This was on Disney+. Enjoyed it. I had been seeing so much stuff about it on social media, little snippets here and there. I thought it was really good. I didn't get everything out of it that I had hoped based on watching everything on social media, which, one thing I will tell you, I am severely taking a back seat on social media. Facebook, I am only on there for work, and I've taken it off my phone unless, it's on my phone, but it is not an icon on my phone. Instagram, I am really trying to flood my feed with makers and crafters and liking every post. That is one thing I would recommend to you. That will greatly influence your feed. Don't just stalk. I was just a scroller, and I, never liked anybody's stuff. I enjoyed people's photos and videos, but really, if you like everything, leave comments. That is going to influence how much you see, and suggestions for you on Instagram if you do enjoy Instagram. And of course, you can always join Blue Sky if you haven't done so. That is a new social media platform that a lot of us are joining and cross-promoting over there. You can find us as Leading Men Fiber Arts on Blue Sky. Please feel free to follow and leave a comment if you are a maker. I'd love to follow you back. But anyway, Agatha All Along, it's pretty good. I'd probably rate it about 3.5 to 4 stars. We then watched How to Die Alone. This was on Hulu. It was only 1 season, and unfortunately it's been canceled unless another network picks it up. This, I cannot remember her name, but this is the story of a woman in her mid-30s, a body positive Black woman that works at JFK Airport in New York, and she has never flown because she is deathly afraid of flying. And she's just kind of going through life, barely making ends meet, can't pay her bills. And in the first episode, she has a random twist of fate where a new piece of IKEA furniture that she put together for her birthday falls on her while she's eating some crab ragoon that she bought for her birthday as she's celebrating by herself in her apartment, and she almost chokes. And luckily, her neighbors heard the crash and came and checked on her and called the paramedics, and she survived. But she had a, near-death experience, and there's more that goes along with her hospital stay after that pursues her to say yes to things and try new things. And I don't know, maybe because I'm at the same age bracket, and while life is relatively really good for us, there is a lot of underlying themes and questions that the main character goes through that I can relate to. And it's just funny. It's funny. You will recognize the main character. She was in the first season of White Lotus, and I believe I've not watched season 2 or season 3, but I believe she is back in one of the main characters of season 3. We then also watched The Penguin. This was something that Andy wanted to watch. This stars Colin Farrell as the Penguin from Batman and Penguin. He is reprising his role from the Batman movie. And this is a dark suspense kind of gangster mob series. I thought it was decently good. Colin Farrell does do a good job and so does the lead female actress. I mean, the acting was really good. I would definitely keep watching it with him. So yeah, check out The Penguin. I believe that's on HBO. And then 2 movies we watched. We watched Longlegs. This stars Nicolas Cage. I'm not a huge fan of Nicolas Cage. However, he is not actually visible in most of the movie. And when he is in heavy makeup and prosthetics. But he is basically a serial killer who has his victims kill their families and themselves, and how he does it. It was a really weird movie. I honestly don't feel like I barely scratched the surface of the movie. I don't know if I was ready to completely think that much when we sat down to watch it, but it was out there. It was artsy, yet it was a horror movie. I definitely enjoy that horror is getting a glow up in terms of filmography and recognition in terms of awards for where the horror genre is going. So that's Longlegs. And then the other night we watched Heretic. This stars, what's his name? I just told my mom about it yesterday. You're screaming at me. The British actor. He was like the love romantic comedy guy. Anyway, it is a very different role for him. And basically these 2 young women who are sisters in the Mormon church stopped by his house because he expressed interest in knowing more about the church. And he brings them into his house, sits down, and starts talking with them. And quickly, the conversation gets darker and darker and darker. In turn, the girls find themselves being captive in this house that he has essentially built to be a maze, and how he mentally and physically plays games with them. And I thought it was pretty good. It's from A24, which is one of those production companies that are really doing amazing work in terms of the horror genre. Hugh Grant. There we go. I was just going to have to Google it. I'm sorry if you could see my wheels turning, because, yeah, cogs were going. And so Hugh Grant is the gentleman, and I think it's not Sophie Turner. Anyway, one of the young girls you would recognize. She's in Yellow Jackets. She's also been doing a lot of horror movies here in the last few years. So that's what we've been watching and reading. Let's move into stash enhancement. I did break the seal and bought some yarn and fiber at our first show of the year, but supporting other makers and vendor friends. I did get 3 skeins of yarn from Mode Knit. They had a 3-skein shawl sample in their booth, and I looked at it and went, I would knit that. And they had the exact colors, which is what I bought. I did try to put together a different combo, but I didn't feel like I was getting the contrast between the colors that I needed to do the shawl. So here are the 3 skeins of Mode Knit that I picked up. They are based out of the Minneapolis area. Yeah. And these are all on their Mode Work fingering, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. This colorway is called Rosette Nebula. And I didn't bring out my big bright lights. I was being lazy today, but it is kind of this soft peachy color with speckles of gray and that warm pink. And then this one is called a Study in Pink. So this is a very dark magenta pink. And this one is called Pewter, which is a pewter colorway or a charcoal. And I have the pattern name on a picture in my phone, but that's what's recording the podcast. So unfortunately, I did not write down what the pattern is. But I believe it's from This Bean Knits. The Bean Knits is the designer. And yeah, so I picked up those 3 skeins of yarn at the show. Need to get that pictured and put in my stash on Ravelry. And then can't remember her name, but she's a vendor friend of ours from Honeygold Acres. I can never not buy her fiber. I have to stop myself as the year goes on because I usually see her a couple times a year. But she had this new sparkle roving or fiber that I had actually heard Laura talk about on the Knit Girls podcast that she had spun. And so I was like, you know what? I talked with her about it. She had a sample. I was like, how's it to spin? I was chatting as the day was going on at the show. And I picked up this braid called Emily. It is 70% merino, 30% silver stellina. So when you think of a sparkle yarn, it's 5 or 10% stellina. This is 30%. I mean, that is gonna razzle and dazzle till the cows come home. And I loved those rich purples. I really thought it offset all that silver stellina. And then I picked up, how did she say it? I want to call it, because she told me how people say it. She's like, people go in and go, oh, that looks like taco night. It's Tacomite, I think. Tacomite. This is 70% merino, 30% bronze stellina. So this one isn't as in your face, but it is there. There you go. So those are the 2 braids of fiber from Honeygold Acres. I'll have them linked in the description box below, or at least I'll have them listed if I can't figure out a link. And you can just, what I've found is easy. If something's not linked, highlight what you're looking for, right click on it, and then there's a search Google for what you're highlighting. Easiest way to do that if there's something isn't linked. But yeah, so those are some new acquisitions to my stash. All right, so as I talked about earlier in the podcast, we still do have our Patreon group, and those in our $1 or $5 tiers will have access to our monthly auctions, which I'll show here on the podcast. Last month, I was auctioning off the inchworm scarf that I knit using the minis that were swapped at the 2024 Scraptastic Advent Swap that we hosted here at the Leading Men Fiber Arts storefront. It's a fun Saturday afternoon that we do every November. We've done it for 4 years now, believe it or not. And everybody comes with 24 individually wrapped 5-gram minis that they bring from home. This year we did actually put kind of a color request on those minis. And Andy takes them all next door. He evenly distributes them amongst the bags, and everyone goes home with 24 new minis. You will probably get some that you came with, but also some from everybody else that came. And then we kind of we give a suggested project, or you could do whatever you want with them. A lot of us did the inchworm scarf, and so that was what was for auction last month. And the winning bid came from Danielle. We raised $110 for our efforts here in the building. Thank you, Danielle. Love Danielle. We have known Danielle for many years. We met her the first time, I believe, was one of the 2 years we did the Kentucky Sheep and Wool Festival down in the Lexington, Kentucky area. We have not been back for quite a few years, but we've had Danielle at our retreat that we used to host. And it's always good to see Danielle. So thank you, Danielle. We really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the inchworm scarf. So this month's auction is going to be a little bit different because it is not actually something that I knit. It's an old shop sample. But we had to do a little bit of over dyeing on this sample. So I actually had this sample in our front window of our studio for a little longer than I should have. I try to switch out our samples about every month, and this was up for 2 or 3 months. And unfortunately, the sun got to it and faded the front of the sweater. And so Andy was like, well, can't hurt. I'm going to try to over dye it, and then, we'll find it a new home. And I was like, you know what? I'll use it as an auction and see if anybody's interested. So this is the April jumper designed by Rook Knits on Ravelry. It is a worsted plus mohair knit sweater. So this is a thick sweater. I know we're going into spring, but this was, believe it or not, this was actually our oxidized color with our blue steel over it, and Andy dyed this a dark blue. Now, I will say, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but there are dark spots kind of in the front and back. But unless somebody's really looking at you, they won't, no one's going to immediately notice. It does have a doubled rolled over collar on the neckline. So, but this is the April jumper. Just got mohair in my mouth. Was not trying to eat the sweater. But I did take a picture of it to post for our auction on Patreon. And because this is an old shop sample and because it has been over dyed, it's not a fresh, it's not a fresh product that we offer. I'm going to start the auction at $1 and see what happens. So this was knit by a sample knitter here in Illinois. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she knit this for us and did an amazing job. But the pad, we can't go around with this as a shop sample because this is over dyed over two previously dyed colors. We can't recreate this. So this sweater is in the small size, but that is a actual finished bust circumference of 45 inches. Now, the pattern does say it is supposed to be, have 8 to 12 inches of positive ease. That's completely up to you. We've had a variety of people try this on, and most people have enjoyed it. So again, it's about the 45-inch bust circumference, and like you can see one of the darker spots there. You will notice some color changing, but we will start the auction at $1, and you can find that if you are a paid Patreon member, and you do need to increase your bid by replying to the, or just leaving a comment with at least $1 increase from the most recent bid. The winner will be invoiced via our shop, and the auction ends on March 31st. And then I will announce the winner and invoice them at the beginning of April. So there we go. All right. Next up, let's talk about what's been going on in the shop, and then I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. Let's talk about our March 2025 colorway of the month. Every month at Leading Men Fiber Arts, we do a new colorway, and this month I created it, and it is called Good Luck, Babe. And this is based off of the Chapel Roan song of the same title. I created this color, and it just spoke to me of Chapel Roan and her hair and makeup, and I don't know, it just felt right with the message of the song and the message I kind of wanted to send forth into the world. Good luck, babe. Good luck. So here it is. This is Good Luck, Babe. It has a soft background of kind of a dusty pink and a persimmon orange. And then there are some subtle speckles of, very subtle of pink speckles, darker pink, and then blue, which is what you're mostly seeing. And here it is in the skein and behind me. And we paired that with our Marauder colorway for our sock sets. The pre-order listings are now down, but if you're interested in a good coordinating color, this definitely reminded me of like darker shades of her hair, but also her, I believe it was her VMA performance that I watched some videos on. This reminded me of kind of that dark, moody red background. And then we paired it with this For Real pom-pom for hats. This is in the Shining Honey Creeper color from For Real. And these will be in the shop available to purchase with the yarn or solo if you would like. So that's our colorway of the month. Let's talk about some new things that have come into the shop recently. We just got a whole slew of items from Emma Ball. This is an artist based out of the UK, and she has put her art, her wonderful fiber-related art, onto a multitude of things. I just brought over, we have so many project bags, but we got things like notepads, tape measures. We have some knitting needle and crochet hook rolls. That might be it that we got. Oh, and some stitch markers, a bunch of things. But I thought I would show you a multitude of the different types of project bags that we got from her. I'll start with the largest. This, we did get some tote bags too, but this is a bucket bag. This is based off of the work of Janie Crow, the Parisian tiles, I believe, crochet design. And this is a huge bucket bag that can fit like a lot. You could take this to a retreat or to the beach or anywhere and fit a multitude of project bags in here. We then have a ton of drawstring bags. Again, I just brought over one style to show you. These are the Kittens in Mittens drawstring bags. They're a nice size. They do have coordinating fabric. All the styles have different coordinating fabrics on the inside. Now, these are not made by Emma Ball. These are commercially made, but it all features her artwork. We have a couple of zipper pouch bags. These ones are really long, but these are also good if you do like knitting with straight needles, is one of the things she recommends. I actually might take one of these project bags. These are gnomes. But what's really neat about these, I didn't want to take these off right here, but that's okay, is the gnomes are her artwork, but then these are actual photos of crocheted flowers. And then at the bottom is an actual photo of like color changing knit fabric. And they're on both sides. And these ones, again, have a fun fabric on the inside as well. And then we have a couple, just two. This is like the medium. Then we have a small one. These are the over the wrist bags. This one is in the felted sheep print. So I will link to our project bag section on the website for you to peruse. You'll see a lot of her new stuff on there. And yeah, check that out. There's lots of new things on the website. We've just got done motorcycle time. You know, the weather's nice when you start hearing all the motorcycles around town. It's one of the bad things about working on the square and living on a main drag in town is that they love to ride their motorcycles all the time. We did just finish updating a bunch of stuff, and I'll finish showing you a few other things. But we are kind of on a buying hiatus until we vended a few more shows. So I don't know how much we'll have new in the near future. We did get the Katrinkles March 2025 Stitch Marker of the Month set, which features pickles, because why not? Andy would roll his eyes. He does not like pickles, but it does have a jar of pickles, and then the rest 5 are different acrylic pickles stitch marker scent, so you can check that out. And then our newest yarn line we added to the shop is Madeline Tosh Merino Light. So I've been a fan of Madeline Tosh for years. Tosh Merino Light is one of the most used yarns on Ravelry, if not still the most used yarn. It is a single ply fingering weight. And I brought this in because 1, I love their dyeing, but 2, we do not offer a single ply yarn in our own lineup of yarns. So I think we got in about 28 different colors, about 4 skeins each. They have been selling, so check that out. But I brought over just 4 colors of what was in our set of colors that we selected. This one is called Umbrella Sky. Fun neon speckles. Another fun color. This is Flash Dance. Thought those might go fun together. These are great for shawls, accessories, hats. I mean, you could make garments out of single ply. Just know that they're going to need a little bit more upkeep than, say, applied yarn. This one's called Asphalt. Andy really liked this one. It's like bluey grays into darker with some blues and red speckles. And then I brought this one just to show you even their dark colors really they do these layered colors where it just shines. This one's called Nocturne. And let me bring it in to show you. Sorry, we're also on the back side of the building is the police department. And then just a few doors down from us is the fire department. But this one's Nocturne. I thought might be nice together. So, like I said, I'll have that linked down below. You can check out all the colors we now currently have available in Madeline Tosh Merino Light. And then I wanted to remind you that if you're local or would like to come out to the Leading Men Fiber Arts storefront headquarters, brick and mortar store, we do have our Create and Collaborate Club every other Tuesday. We are not meeting tomorrow. Our next meeting is March 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. We'd love to have you if you'd like to join us. And then our last open weekend, or our only other open weekend in the month of March, is going to be Friday and Saturday, March 28th and 29th. We also we host a crafternoon one Saturday a month when we are home. That is from 1 to 4 p.m. And we just had our crafternoon for March this Saturday. We had one of our dear friends of the shop, Liz, came. She drives a decent way to come see us once a month, and we love having Liz and welcoming her. Enjoy chatting and catching up with her. Our April one, I believe, is going to be April 12th. So April 12th will be our next crafternoon from 1 to 4. So if you're a little farther out and don't want to come late at night, maybe check your schedule, see if you can make it for April 12th and come join us for crafternoon. It's just it's a afternoon of creativity and conversation. And so, all right. Don't forget, we have the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group where we host a multitude, usually three at any given time, knit-alongs. And there's coupon codes in those, as well as we give out prizes for people who finish and win the knit-alongs. So check that out on Ravelry. Upcoming shows. I did write down 3 shows before I will probably see you again. This weekend, we will be in Nashville for the first ever Nash Yarn Fest. This is going to probably be an amazing event. They have over 90 vendors. People from all over the United States and other countries are coming to vend at this event. It is this Saturday, March 15th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Nashville at the fairgrounds, I believe it's called. And I do know that they have an opening party on Friday night, but I believe that is an additional purchase to attend the opening party. I am not sure if they're sold out, but you can check that out. And then the following weekend, we will be back in Iowa, this time in Winterset, Iowa, for Heartland Fiberpalooza. We are excited to be returning to this event. Last year, we were planning on going, and the old van, our old cargo van, decided to start giving us fits and frits, and we were unable to make it last year. We had to cancel last minute because we didn't have a way to make it to the show without having to spend probably more than we would have made at the show on a U-Haul. So we just decided to stay at home. We did get the van fixed, and it lasted until last fall, but we did have to upgrade to a new cargo van last fall, which is part of the reason why things are, a little a little tight sometimes. So you can check us out our Saturday, March 22nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. In Winterset, Iowa at their middle school in the gym. And then I did write down our first show in April because I do not know if I will be back to record before then. But that is YarnCon, which is Chicago's indie yarn fair in downtown Chicago at the Plumbers Union Hall. That is Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, April 6th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I will say we are moving locations in the vendor hall this year. We are now going to be on the wall when you come into the vendor hall. We are going to be on the wall all the way to your right. We have been in the same location for many years, but due to the fact that we actually really wanted electricity to use some of our lights and things, we needed to be moved to an exterior wall. And so, and they only have a certain number of size booths that we use at YarnCon. So we are going to be towards the back corner on the right-hand side wall. If you're going to the Nash Yarn Fest, speaking of which, we are going to be all the way in the back, facing the back wall. So like we're an end cap. There's a map. You can see it if you're interested in going, but we'll be all the way in the back. Come check us out. And those are our shows until I chat with you next month. We are full swing into show season and dyeing yarn, going to shows, dyeing more yarn, doing custom orders, coming up with the new colorways. So the train has left the depot and we are along for the ride for 2025. We hope that you will be able to come see us at any of our stops along the way. You can find all of our events that are currently booked on our website. All the way down at the bottom, you will see shows and festivals and everything that we have booked. Trunk shows, festivals, retreats are all there. So I think that's all that I have for you this month. I thank you again for taking the time to tune in. Please, if you have not done so, click the like, subscribe, and the little bell if you want to be notified when I upload videos. And please, please, please don't be afraid to leave a comment, ask some questions, or share with me what are you working on. I also am interested in some recommendations. I'm really diving deep into the floss tube or cross-stitching rabbit hole on YouTube, but I need some new knitting podcasts. So tell me, who are some of your favorite knitting podcasts? Or if you have a knitting podcast, please feel free to link or provide me with the name so I can check you out and see if there's some new podcasts that I'd like to subscribe to. So I hope you have a wonderful March, and until I see you next month, thanks again. Bye.